I love doing photo walks. And one of the favorite places I love to do them is in Golden Gate Park in and around the D. Young Museum. It's got all these really wild angles and shapes. And when you look at them from a certain perspective, you get surprised. Like in this case, and notice the thing on the end, that starburst, you can create those by putting it right next to the edge between a light and a dark, like just like what it is. And it also has this tower that's just overlooks the city, overlooks the park, and look what I found there. This man wearing this, it's like a central casting called up and just like perfect. I've been to this museum a lot, so I see the same thing over and over, and it looks different every time. Like in this case, and then I come back and it's raining, so that's a completely different thing, and the opportunities for taking pictures are completely different. And then from there, I take them down and we play against the windows and do silhouettes and negative space. I ran back there 3 or 4 times. No, he's like, jump here, because, we didn't want that pole. We wanted to get between them, but it worked better this way, because then I wasn't up against the palm tree in the background, which would have blocked me. So it needed that negative space around it. The sculpture garden is just fantastic. I really love this Claus Oldenburg safety pin, and and the way that tree looks like a tree instead of a row of trees. And so the pin of the safety pin is it looks like it's in front of all the trees, but it's really way back there. So those kind of things that make the eye, whether you know it or not, because your eye wants to make sense of things. And the other thing that your brain, actually, your eye is blind to what the mind can't see. Your mind does all the seeing, but one thing the mind loves is repetition. So when I saw the little boy in blue walking, I waited till he got right in the right place before I took the picture. And then we go to a place called the Terrell Sky Space. And it's one of my favorite places in San Francisco. So you go in this, and again, we're using this contrast for the creating a silhouette. So shape is everything. So, and then I also use that same space to talk about speed, shutter speed. So there I am jumping up in the air and having them stop. So they're all taking a picture and they're using the fastest setting they've got. And so there I am in the air, and so stopping it completely. So they're shooting at 250th or 500. And but the other thing I love about silhouettes is they're kind of like optical illusions, because I'm facing the camera, but I can just as easily look at that and see that I'm looking away and kind of diving off into the hole. Oh, and here's one where we're shooting and where it's like a half of a second or a fourth of a second, and just to show motion, and also to show that this photography thing can be really fun. So I of course take a picture of all the fun people looking back down the tunnel. But when you walk into the space where the cylinder, the thing that is this, boy, what would you even call it? But so look at the floor, look at the walls, and all these shapes that are, and the light being one of the things that makes the shapes. It looks completely different when the sky is different, but it's just so graphic and beautiful. And when you walk inside the space, it's really dramatic. In fact, it's like dramatic, cinematic, like you're on a play. And these two were really great, this mother and daughter, and they played. And it was like, I think everybody is just like an inch away from ecstasy at all times. And sometimes that inch is made of titanium, and sometimes it's made of air. But it's an interesting dance to look. But I think everybody wants to do that. So in the next one, this space is also really, really great for silhouettes because we have a really, really bright light. So the camera, again, the one thing to really know about cameras is they do not see the way you do. So this silhouette thing, if we're standing there, we can see the person and we can make that adjustment, that latitude we can see, but the camera can't. So we take advantage of that limitation. And when you're shooting a silhouette, don't shoot straight on, you're just a big blob. So try to find some form and shape and then put it back around. But you're just exposing for the light part, and the rest of it just let it get underexposed. Like in this next one is this guy walks in, just like the other guy walks in, so we take advantage of them and enlist them to be the models. So the other thing that's going on during this class is that they want to know about taking pictures of people. So I do that a lot, so I'm grabbing people left and right. But when you run across somebody like this, so I just put him in place, but the thing that made him interesting needed to be seen, so I flashed it. I just used the thing on top of it. So here's without the flash, here's with the flash, and here's one with the flash with the flash. Okay. So the space itself is, the idea of it, according to the artist Terrell, is to actually see the sky. All this edifice is just there to have a section where you're actually paying attention to the sky. It's so ubiquitous, it has disappeared for us, but it is completely magical, and it's absolutely, obviously different every time you go there. So on another time, I went, and it was right at the point where I knew that I could get that starburst. So I exposed again for the sky and moved it right to the edge. If you don't get on the edge and you go into it, it just blows out the whole thing. And if you go the other way, it just disappears. It's a kind of a tricky deal, but when you get it, it looks like that. It's great. And then from there, we you know, as we're doing it, we come across things that we can illustrate things. In this case, it was just we used the chairs from the cafeteria of the museum and put it over in the part that nobody was using, and took chairs that nobody was using and took them over and started playing with them. And I just let them go. And I said, your job is to take 6 pictures of these chairs, you know, any way you want to. And then we'll look at them, and then we'll play some more or move on. But we move on from there and go, you know, just outside the museum is all kinds of things. Oh, well, the whole Golden Gate Park, and it's just how far you want to go. But we're taking pictures, so, you know, the going's really slow. But the rewards are really magnificent. And so we come across something like this this overpass with this ornate work on it, and we're going to illustrate f-stops and the effect that they have in see how much is in focus and what the depth of field is. So this one was taken with the maximum depth of field. So that's the like f22, 32, something like that. And so almost everything is in focus. Now this next one, same scene, but it's taken with like wide open, like f2.8 or f5.6, whatever your lowest thing is, and you can see that it falls off, pretty much almost immediately. And the reason you want to do that, just beside, an effect, is because you want to isolate what you're taking a picture of. Like in this case, so here's this columbine, and it's beautiful columbine. There's a lot of them, and it's really kind of noisy. So taking that down a notch by just focusing on the main bloom and let the rest get out of focus really makes that stand out. Coming up with things that you can apply in real life is what we're trying to do. So from there, we just move into the park further and keep playing. And when something comes up, we talk about it and we look at them and we show each other's pictures and we play. All those things that we talked about and learned, they did firsthand using their own fingers and camera. And so it stays with you better, and you learn it better, and you know it better, so that when you go into real life, when you go back and just doing it on your own, these things will come back to you. So you'll see a scene like this, and then all of a sudden you're playing with the shadows and silhouettes and starburst and negative space, and it just all seems to make sense because you ran through it a couple of times. I like what we do together. It's it's really fun.